We'll begin by opening startfile.blend. Okay, so this here contains our unrigged Larry, and there's going to be a fair few shape keys to make. We're going to be focusing on the jaw, the lips, the cheeks, and the eyebrows. Now, if you're using your own character for this tutorial, you may also need to add a few more shape keys, such as the nose and the ears. We're going to start with the jaw, and we'll work our way up the face. Before we add in any shape keys, we first need to hide our plane and our camera, so we don't need them, and go into edit mode. I'm going to turn off limit selection to visible, or occlusion culling. And in our object data panel, we want to add in a new vertex group. And of course, one here, L for left, and select the left hand side of the mesh. Assign that, add a new one for right, and we'll assign that. Now if we select both of these vertex groups and press Ctrl I, we are left with a strip just down the middle. We're going to change the weight to 0.5 and assign that to both. What that does is if we press Ctrl Tab to go into weight paint mode, you'll notice we have a nice blend between the vertex groups. Fantastic. So now we can begin by creating our shape keys and add in a basis, and we'll add in a new one which we'll call jaw underscore left, as we'll use this to move the jaw to the left. So let's select our jaw, and in side view we're going to place the 3D cursor at the end of the jaw. Now on a character, the end of your jaw, or the end of your jawbone, is actually right underneath the ears and a little bit and about in line with the top lip, so technically about here. We're going to move it in just a fraction because he has very round face, and press full stop on your keyboard. We also need to enable connected proportional editing, so we can go into front view, rotate this by about -8 degrees. We're going to have to turn off X mirror first. And then simply scroll your mouse wheel until it just starts to move the corners of the mouth. Fantastic. Okay. So what we need to do now is, I'm just going to hide the back of the mesh as we do not require it. And we're going to hide these as well, which is just the inside of the mouth, by the way. About that much. There we go. Alright, that would make it just a little bit easier to work with our mesh. Okay, so I'm just going to come in and we're just going to spend a little bit of time on each of these shape keys. Some will take more time than others, specifically the lips. The lips take the most amount of time out of any shape key. But there is our jaw moving to the left. Just going to quickly move in these just a fraction, just because I don't quite like how wide his jaw is. Of course, that's my fault in the modelling of this character, but that's okay. And that's as far as I'm going to take this. I'd suggest you work on this just a little bit more. You can even go into sculpt mode. Just be aware that I'm I have actually switched over to Blender 2.5 for this, for doing the shape keys, as Blender 2.6 currently has a bit of trouble with shape keys where X mirror doesn't work correctly and sculpt mode doesn't work correctly. So we can just come in and we can, well, sculpt mode does work on 2.6, but it edits your entire mesh, not just a shape key. So we can actually just come along, and I'm just pressing Control and click just to cut into the mesh a little, and you can click to bring it out, as you can see. Okay. Just making sure it's not. Yeah, that's alright. Just making sure that it was working how I intended it. I've come used to 2.6 malfunctioning as per usual. But that should work fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to increase that to 1, so it's, the jaw is all the way to the left. And we're going to click the down arrow and we're going to go new shape from mix. So we can call this one here draw right. This is going to be a quick shape key. We're just going to go mirror shape key, and now let's draw to the right. Fantastic. Alright, let's add in a couple more. Let's go jaw down. Now moving the jaw down is very easy. It's actually not a lot to it. So I'm going to select the jaw. Yeah, I'm going to change the point a little. And just make sure that you don't affect the lips going out. That you do want to bring them down a fraction. So we will select these lips. Oops. And we will bring them down. So as we'll bring the rest of this down as well. So that there brings our jaw down. Cool. Let's add in a new one. I'm going to call this one here jaw up. Now this one here will also act to close our mouth. As you can see, he's naturally got quite a frown. I've modelled him in this sense so that in side view you can see his mouth actually curls down, and that there is just so that it makes him a little bit more of an angry character. Generally, with modeling characters, I like usual characters, I model them with closed lips. If you model a character with closed lips, they have a much wider range of emotion. But for this one here, he's always an angry character. He was modeled for an animation to be an angry character. So by doing that, it really does help just to get that that message across. So if we draw up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select our jaw and move it up. And we're moving it pretty much directly up until it connects with the rest of our mesh. If you're having trouble moving things around the lips, by the way, make sure you're on connected proportional editing. If you're on enable, you'll notice it moves the rest of the lips as well. But we want to be on connected. Fantastic. This is going along quite nicely. We'll check out what it looks like in side view in a moment. I have just noticed now that I have forgotten I'm going to have to delete that and add it in again. I have actually forgotten to turn on mirror X. Minimize these extra things. In edit mode now we can turn on X mirror. Cool, so that there will allow us to basically get it working just a little bit nicer. Make sure that we have it mirrored on both sides. You don't want it to be too asymmetrical. You want it to be nice and symmetric, like so. Feel free to have the mesh intersect near the mouth. With a character like this that hasn't actually got any textures, he runs off a procedural material. That is fine. Okay, let's just quickly move these up as well. And there we have it. That is our jaw up. I have just noticed that we've got a bit of an error here along the side. We need to move these down a fraction. And these down a fair bit. Cool. Now he's looks like he's kind of serious, a little bit of a grump, but his mouth is shut, and this will effectively be his rest position.